By the third week of the month, Daniel had started doing something he never used to do. He would open his banking app, look at his balance, and then quietly close it again. His salary had increased since he got his first job. His bank balance was not necessarily lower, but somehow the life that salary was supposed to pay for kept getting harder to afford. The same income that once covered food, transport, family support, bills, and a little savings now seemed to disappear before the month was over. And that raises a frustrating question. If your salary is going up, why does it feel like you're getting poorer? Daniel is not unusual. A salary can increase on paper while shrinking in real life. The reason is simple, but the consequences are much deeper than most people realize. Your employer pays you in Naira. You spend that Naira on things whose prices keep changing. So the important question is not only how much money enters your account, it is what that money can actually buy when it gets there. That is the part many people miss when they hear the word inflation. Inflation does not mean that your money has disappeared. Your 500,000 Naira is still 500,000 Naira. The problem is that the same 500,000 Naira may no longer buy the same basket of food, transport, electricity, rent, healthcare, and other necessities it once did. Your salary can look healthy on a payslip while its purchasing power quietly falls. Nigeria has already experienced a major period of rising prices. The World Bank records annual consumer inflation at 33.2% in 2024 before it fell to 23% in 2025. More recent NBS figures show inflation easing further, with headline inflation around 15.91% and food inflation around 17.52% under the Rebus CPI series. But there is an important detail hidden inside those numbers. When inflation falls, it does not mean prices have returned to where they were before. It simply means prices are rising more slowly. Think about climbing a staircase. If you were climbing 10 steps at a time and then slow down to 3 steps at a time, you're moving more slowly, but you're still moving upward. That is what can happen with prices. The rate of increase can fall while the price level remains much higher than it used to be. This is why Daniel can receive a salary increase and still feel disappointed. Suppose his salary moves from 300,000 Naira to 400,000 Naira. On paper, that is a 100,000 Naira increase, or about 33%. It sounds significant. But if the things he regularly buys have become much more expensive, that extra 100,000 Naira may simply be helping him stand still rather than helping him move forward. And this is where another problem begins. We tend to measure financial progress by looking at income instead of purchasing power. Someone tells you, "I now earn 500,000 Naira," and immediately it sounds like they are doing better than someone earning 350,000 Naira. But income alone does not tell the whole story. Where they live, whether they pay rent, how many people depend on them, how far they travel to work, whether they support parents, whether they have children, and how much they spend on healthcare or debt can completely change the picture. This is also why salary increases can create a psychological trap. When your income rises, your brain naturally gives you permission to spend a little more. Perhaps you move to a better apartment. You order food more often. You upgrade your phone. You start using ride-hailing services instead of public transport. You begin paying for subscriptions that seemed unnecessary before. None of these decisions has to be reckless. The problem is that several small upgrades can quietly become your new normal. So you receive a raise, but the raise never becomes wealth. It becomes a more expensive version of your old lifestyle. There is another group that feels this pressure even more strongly, people whose income does not increase at all. A worker earning the same salary for several years is effectively accepting a pay cut if the cost of the things they need keeps rising. Their employer may not have reduced their salary, but the market has reduced what that salary can accomplish. The situation becomes even more complicated for Nigerians with family responsibilities. Your salary may not only belong to you. It may help pay school fees, support parents, contribute to siblings' expenses, cover medical emergencies, or keep a small family business running. That means cutting expenses is not always as simple as removing entertainment from the budget. For someone earning 150,000 naira, there may be very little unnecessary spending left to cut. For someone earning 1 million naira, there may be more flexibility. Financial advice has to recognize that difference. So what can you actually do when prices keep moving? The first step is to stop asking only, "How much do I earn?" Start asking, "How much does it now cost to maintain my normal life?" Those are two different questions. Take your real monthly expenses from the last few months.
Food,
Transport,
rent,
electricity, data, healthcare, debt payments, family support, school-related expenses, everything that regularly leaves your account. Then compare that spending with what you were paying 1 or 2 years ago. You may discover something important. Your problem may not be that you suddenly became irresponsible with money. Your baseline cost of living may simply have changed. This is where AI can become surprisingly useful. You can take your actual spending information and give it to an AI tool such as ChatGPT, but instead of asking, "How can I save money?" ask it to analyze the situation. For example, you could provide your monthly income, your major expenses, your previous spending from a year ago, and your current spending. Then ask, "Compare my spending patterns, identify which categories have increased the most, separate essential increases from lifestyle increases, and show me where my income is losing purchasing power." That produces a much more useful conversation than simply asking for a generic budget. You can go further. Suppose your salary is 500,000 naira and your monthly expenses now consume 450,000 naira. You can ask AI to model what happens if your major expenses rise by 5%, 10%, or 15% while your salary remains unchanged. Then ask another question. What monthly income would I need to maintain the same standard of living if these costs continue increasing? Now you are no longer guessing whether your salary is enough. You are testing different possibilities. AI can also help you find spending leaks that are difficult to notice when you are looking at transactions one by one. You might discover that the problem is not one huge expense. It could be several categories that have quietly expanded. Transport is slightly higher. Food is higher. Data is higher. Family support increased. Weekend spending increased after your salary rose. Each one looks manageable on its own. Together, they consume the raise. You can even ask AI to help you build what is essentially a personal inflation tracker. Every month, record what you actually pay for the things you regularly buy. Then compare those figures over time. The official inflation rate describes the economy as a whole. Your personal inflation rate describes your life. And those two numbers may not be the same. A person who spends most of their income on food and transportation may feel inflation differently from someone whose major expenses are rent and imported products. A parent with school fees will experience rising education costs differently from a single worker. Someone living in Lagos may have a different cost structure from someone living in Abuja, Enugu, or Kano. Your personal basket matters. But there is something AI cannot do for you. It cannot magically make prices fall. It cannot negotiate your salary with your employer. It cannot guarantee that a side business will succeed. And it cannot know whether every financial recommendation is appropriate for your particular circumstances. If you ask it about current tax rules, investment products, interest rates, or other changing financial information, verify the answer against official sources before acting on it. AI is a powerful calculator, organizer, and thinking partner. It is not an unquestionable financial advisor. The bigger solution, therefore, is not simply to cut spending forever. It is to build a financial system that can adjust when your environment changes. That means knowing your true cost of living, protecting part of your income when possible, avoiding lifestyle upgrades that consume every salary increase, and deliberately working on your earning power. That last part matters because there is a limit to how much you can save by cutting expenses. You cannot negotiate your way out of every price increase. Eventually, your income has to grow faster than the cost of the life you are trying to maintain. This is where AI can also become an income tool rather than only a budgeting tool. It can help you identify skills that are valuable in your industry, Organize a learning plan, improve your CV, prepare for interviews, research potential freelance services, analyze business ideas, and help you work more efficiently. None of these guarantees more income, but they can help you become more deliberate about increasing your earning capacity rather than waiting for your employer to decide when your next raise should come. And there is a psychological reason this matters. When people feel financially squeezed, they often become reactive. They postpone savings. They borrow to cover normal expenses. They stop planning because every month feels like an emergency. Then when income eventually rises, they immediately use the extra money to relieve the pressure that is built up. The cycle repeats. A better approach is to make your salary work from a changing baseline. If your income increases, do not automatically treat the entire increase as permission to spend more. Ask what portion is needed to absorb the higher cost of living and what portion can actually improve your financial position. That difference is where progress begins. Go back to Daniel. His salary had increased, but he had been judging himself by the amount entering his bank account. Once he compared his actual expenses with what they had cost before, he saw the problem differently. He was not simply bad with money. His financial environment had changed, and his spending had changed with it. That realization did not make his groceries cheaper. It did something more useful. It gave him a clearer target. Instead of saying, "I need to save more," he could ask, "How much does my current lifestyle actually cost? How quickly is that cost changing, and how much income do I need to stay ahead of it?" AI could help him run the numbers, track the changes, and test different scenarios. But the decisions would still belong to him. And perhaps that is the most important way to think about inflation. The real danger is not simply that prices rise. It is that your financial decisions continue operating as if prices have not changed. Your salary is a number. Your purchasing power is what that number can actually do for you. So the next time your salary enters your account and somehow feels smaller than it should, do not immediately blame yourself. Look at the cost of the life that salary is being asked to support. Track it. Compare it. Test what happens when prices rise. Use AI to make the numbers easier to understand. Then make your income, spending, and career decisions based on the world you are actually living in, not the one your old budget was built for. Because in an inflationary economy, staying financially stable is not just about earning more money. It is about making sure your money keeps up with the life it is supposed to pay for.